And whoa, look at Magoo. Magoo streaks into the...
Thorpe's got basketballs. They lock handlebars as they go through, but Thorpe's done.
Here comes Bradshaw to the outside of Bale. He takes over the number 2 position, and Bradshaw is not done.
Rick Johnson comes by with the lead. Rick Johnson in the number 1 spot with Jeff Ward second, followed closely by Johnny O'Mara, Alan King, David Bailey, and Ron Lashini. Closing on Rick Johnson. Jeff Ward looking for his first moto win of the year, trying to catch Johnson and make the pass. Meanwhile, back in the back of the pack, again, Johnny O'Mara and David Bailey having a battle. And Jeff Ward takes the lead away from Rick Johnson on the downhill going into the right-hand corner. And as they head into the back section, Johnson says, "No way, I'm coming back at you." And that he does. He moves back into the number 1 spot with Ward still running. While Rick Johnson in front passes from lap rider David Bailey is on the move. David Bailey coming up about a second and a half a lap, trying to catch Rick Johnson, get the ring on, go for it wide open. David Bailey a little bit more on the smooth side, but one thing is for sure, no matter what racetrack it is, some suit one style more so than another, but there will always be a battle between these 2 guys when it comes down to the end. Rick Johnson still holding down that number 1 spot, being very aggressive, while David Bailey continues to try and close that gap with only a few laps remaining. And Rick Johnson comes over the final jump for the last time and takes the moto win. The whole shot, get out and go. You're in the back of the pack, definitely a problem. Johnson knows that after that first moto win that he needs to beat Bailey. And looking at right now is we're looking at David Bailey in that number 1 spot, riding smooth and flawless. And behind him is Rick Johnson, the ever so important start. Bailey riding with that smooth and flawless style. Rick Johnson a little bit more on the edge, but you know what? The one thing is for sure, and we're seeing it here at Hollister, and that is that whatever the start is, pretty much is going to determine a little bit of the outcome. But David, 7 points up going into the final round in Washougal, Washington. Still, David Bailey in the number 1 spot with Rick Johnson in second. Bailey is pulled out to about a 7-second lap to go, and David Bailey will have the overall for the day in Hollister. Rick Johnson in the number 2 spot. Meanwhile, Johnny O'Mara runs in the number 3 spot, which makes it Honda 1, 2, and 3. On the last lap, David Bailey has moved out to a 13-second lead over Rick Johnson. And again, that will take him into the final round at Washougal, Washington with a 7-point spread. David Bailey will lead Rick Johnson by 7 points going into the final round, so it's still anything.
The lead second behind the announcer's tower. National yet this year, and it would really make him feel that Bailey was in the driver's seat in points, and he's the guy that had it to lose. You know, he had everything to lose, and was sitting there for him to go. Billy Bryant continues to run out of the racetrack with a solid 2 legs. We'll have to watch for him to come back down. A big gap between the scene and fifth place for live. Bad boy. Here's Bailey holding down that number 2 spot. Fifth place a long way back. The last time we looked, it was rider number 24 out of Jackson, Georgia. Billy, the bullet lock. And he's getting the job done. Ward running third. In fourth place, rider number 2, CR500s. Ron Machine. And here's Rick Johnson. Johnson taking the second flag, and Johnson makes it on the line. There's a Honda, 3-2 in the number 2 position. I don't know who it belongs to. Rick Johnson, number 5. No, promise you.
Hold on.
Jeff Ward out in front, rider number 4. He's got the whole shot, followed by Rick Johnson. Let's correct that. It's David Bailey running in the number 2 position. David Bailey running in second. Johnson back in the number 6, heading almost with no dust, way out in front. No pressure. Riding as calmly, as slowly as he can. David Bailey running in second. But now Ron Machine is challenging David Bailey for that number 2 position, and that has to be interesting. If Rick Johnson can get it together, if Machine can pass Bailey, it is Ron Machine takes over the number 2 spot. Here goes Jeff Ward. Now he's on his last lap. Bailey has not taken that white flag yet. So has Ron Machine in the number 2 position. But when Ward comes by, let's make a little noise for him. He'll be the winner here at Washougal this year. Jeff Ward circulating around the racetrack. His last lap. Make some noise. He'll be the champion, next national champion. Here he comes, Jeff Ward, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Ward, line number 4. Here he comes, ready. Make some noise. He's national winner, 1986 Washougal. Looking now for the next round of the points. It's going to be David Bailey. He'll be the national champion. Don't go away. Here he is over the top of the tabletop. Silence. Look at that. Bailey gets it sideways off the top of the tabletop.